Hey guys, this is Jen from JCats Creations, and today I'm going to be showing you another way that I make my sunflower wreaths. In this video I will also be showing you how to make, it's like a loopy ribbon center. I'm going to be doing that all in one video because the center is actually pretty quick and easy to make. So if you're just here to see the center, what I'm going to do is down in the description box I will put the timestamp that you can just fast forward to so you can watch just that part of the video if that's what you're here for. But to get going on this, like I said, it will be another version of a sunflower that I make. So as usual, I always use a 10-inch box wire frame. And the box wire means that it's just a flat frame, it's not raised, and there's 4 rings. So you'll need one of these. For this one, I will be using poly burlap. I'm going to be using 3 colors. The 3 colors I will be using, this one is called lime green. This will be for the leaves. I have a pink, and I also have fuchsia. And all of these have been cut into 10 by 10 squares, meaning 10 inches by 10 inches. And just so you guys can see, this is what a roll of poly burlap looks like before you cut it up. So they come in 10-inch by 10-yard rolls. So like I said, your pieces are just going to be 10 inches by 10 inches. And I just wanted to say quickly, I know that this color is called lime green. For me, I think I would call it more of like a grass green. I definitely would expect it to be kind of brighter, but just to kind of give you guys some reference on that in case you're not sure, this one is called a moss green. And I know actually without any reference it kind of looks a little brown, but then when you do put a brown next to it, you can see where it does have a darker greenish tint to it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that, so when you're looking at them online you're not really sure. You know, the lime green just really isn't as bright in person as you would think it would be. So if that helps you make the decision on what colors that you want to use. So I just wanted to show you that quick. So of course we will also need pipe cleaners. I cut all mine in half to get a little more mileage out of them. Scissors. I use a rotary cutter and the cutting mat to cut the poly burlap pieces. And as far as the center goes, I use a little piece of plastic canvas or plastic grid. You can find this, I buy all mine on Amazon. You can find them in really any store that has like a crochet section, because that's generally what it's used for. This is just what a sheet looks like. I'll put a link to where I buy them on Amazon, just so you guys know what I'm talking about in case you're not sure. And like I always say, if this is the only frame that you have, do this first. And all I do is just trace the center circle and cut that out. And then also we'll be using a couple of zip ties just to secure this part into the frame when we get there. This is the ribbon that I plan to use for the center, and this is a 1.5 inch. So make sure you can see that, 1.5 inch by 10 yards. We will be using the whole roll. I think this was $4.95 on craftoutlet.com, so it'll be, you know, relatively inexpensive and easy center. And then also, if you're selling these especially, but if you want to cover the back, I know I've showed this in another video, but I'll show it again because I do get a lot of people that ask. It's just a piece of felt that I cut into a circle. I traced out the whole frame and I just cut it out. I use a little push pin to make the holes, and I'll be using some zip ties for this too. Whatever you've got that's just, you know, pointy, get you some holes in there to get zip tied through it. So we will be needing that later on for the center. So let me just get some of my stuff out of the way so we can get going. So what I did to try to make this a little faster, I've already started on this wreath. As you can see, I've got most of my green petals on. Now, if you watched my video, it is a burgundy and tan colored flower, and the technique that I use on that for the petals, I'll also put that in the description too so you guys can see. But that's the same technique that I use for the outside layer on this flower. So like I said, I've done most of it, and really all I do on this one that's a little different than what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the petals is when I put them on, I have them next to each other. I kind of squish them together next to each other so they all kind of stand straight out. Since this will be the outer layer, you know, I want it to be seen a little bit more, but I am able to achieve that without having to cut the petals any longer than any of the other ones. So since there are 5 sections on a 10-inch, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all I do, this will be 10 petals on this outside ring. I put one on each of the crossbars and then one in between. So that's a total of 10 petals. I saved the last 2 so I could show you guys how I do it. Move that for a second so you guys could see. So you're just going to take the 10 by 10 square, you're going to fold corner to corner so it looks like that, and then just scrunch it up. Same way I do pretty much all the flower types, not all, but most of the flower types. So then it looks like that. And then what I do just for the outer layer so that the petals aren't floppy, I wrap around the next ring and then tie it in the back. And that gives it a little more security so the petals don't want to flop around on you. And that's it. I give them kind of a squish to keep them standing straight out. And these ones in the middle, you can move back and forth a little bit to even it up there. And I just have one more now for this outer layer. And this is a good example. I get a lot of people that ask me about why my flowers look like I have no fray. I tell people all the time I absolutely have fray, just like everybody else. When you're cutting poly burlap, it is very helpful if you cut in between the lines. That definitely helps out a lot, but I don't know if you guys can see. I mean, even here, you know, it's a little broken, and I just pull it off. If it doesn't pull, I cut it. I never want to pull so hard that, you know, you're kind of really ripping it off. But I mean, if you have to just cut off these little bits or pull them off, if they come right off, that's fine. So it just cleans up the edge. And sometimes the edge looks fine until you go to fold it and then it kind of pops out on you. And same thing, I mean, I'll just pull it. If it comes right out, great. If I got to get a pair of scissors on it and clip it off, that's fine. But a lot of people always ask me why it looks like I have no fray, and I absolutely do. Just like the rest of you guys, I just trim them. Sometimes I do it as I'm going, sometimes I save it all for the ends. Either way. line that up in the middle. You just slide it a little bit either way, that's fine. You may have some that don't want to work with each other, they want to overlap a little bit, that's fine. My whole purpose of this is just trying to get them to kind of stick out as much as possible so you see them behind the other colors. So that's just that, super easy. And like I said, my other flower that I did, the whole flower was doing it this way where they're all sticking up next to each other. But this one's going to be a little different. Also, just wanted to show you, you know, I do have some fray popping off. Like I said, once you fold them, and then sometimes that's when it starts to pop off on you. And it's just, you know, you got to clip them, you got to clip them. And usually when I'm done making it, and I've got it, you know, all trimmed up, you know, then I don't really touch it anymore. The more you handle any mesh that you've cut, the worse your fray is going to be. So really try to keep that to a minimum. And still have to move stuff. Bear with me. Okay. So in this one, since I have the fuchsia and the pink, I'm going to be doing it where I alternate the colors. Now this is where it's going to get different of how I put the petals on to kind of achieve that alternating look. And it also kind of makes the flower look like it has a little more volume than it actually does. So since we've got 10 petals on this outer layer, we are going to be also putting 10 petals on the next ring in, the second ring. And I'm just going to go in between all of the ones that I already have the green. I'll be going in between these. So let me line it up. Just forgive me here, guys. I've got a new mat and I'm also filming with a new phone. And I've got my setup a little bit different. So basically all the marks I had before and like everything that I had is a little different now. So I have to kind of keep looking up to make sure I'm in frame. So just bear with me on that in case you're just wondering why I'm spinning things around for no apparent reason. I'm just trying to get used to the new setup I have here. So I'm going to start here on this one. And I've decided that I want the fuchsia, the darker pink, will kind of be the bottom layer of the altering. So once again, have some fray. I just pulled it off. Just be nice to it. That's all. But we all get it. And then I'm just going to fold the petal same way. Meet it in the middle. Then squish it. Scrunch it up there. This looks the same. Okay, so I've just got the pipe cleaner there. Now I don't double up on the pipe cleaner going in because they're not really going to be floppy. They're all just going to kind of be laying on each other. So I only just wrap around the one ring going forward. Normally I like to try to have the pipe cleaners match the poly burlap. It doesn't really matter. You're not going to see it. It's just more of a, I don't know, personal preference, I guess. But I didn't have any pink, so I'm using white. So that's just there in between. So what I'm going to do next, though, I'm going to skip this next one and go to the next spot. Regular petal. one's popping on me. Just trim it off. As I said, you could do them as you go. You wait till the end. All your little pieces that want to stick out on you. Okay. So you can see I did it here, skipped, did it here. I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm going to have 5 of the dark pink, and then when I come back, I'll be doing the light pink, and there'll be 5 of those. So it'll be 10 petals on this ring as well. So I'm just going to finish up going around, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have all 5 of the fuchsia petals on this ring at this point. Like I said, I just went in between every other one of the green ones behind it. So now I do have the spaces in between these dark pink ones, the fuchsia. So I will be doing 5 petals of the pink at this point. So like I said, a total of 10 petals on this one. So I'll just show you how that's going to look. See, once again, popping off. I just really want you guys to know that I get fray like everybody else. I get so many people that ask me about it, and it's almost like sometimes I think people think I'm lying, or I have some kind of a secret that I'm not telling you. And I do, just like everybody else. I mean, anything that you cut that has, you know, a crisscross pattern on it is going to fray. So by doing this, where I do the 5 petals first, where I'm alternating, and then I come in and I do the next 5. Now you could do this with different colors like I am, or you can do it all with the same color, and pretty much the end result, you know, it's just a nice fluffy, full looking flower that I really like, because these petals are actually going to be sitting on top of the darker petals, so it kind of just gives the illusion that there's a few more layers to this flower than there actually is. So just make sure that when you put these on, try and back it up, there we go, that all of these petals are laying on top of the ones you put on to begin with, and that's how you get kind of a fluffier look to the whole thing. And I'll just do one more of the pink to show you. This is pretty quick and easy. I mean, the whole flower with the center all said and done, I mean, it's not even an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 15. I make a lot of these, so I get through it pretty fast. If it's your first one, it's probably going to take a little bit longer, just until you get an idea of what you're doing. But you know, once you've made a few of them, you can get them together pretty quick. So once again, you're just putting them all in between, and then it just gives you a little more dimension. Once I get this row on, I'll put it up on the wall like I always do, so you guys can see a little bit better. I know it's hard with the close view for that part of that, so I'm going to finish off the rest of the light pink, and then I'll put it up on the wall. You can see this a little better in case you're not quite sure what it's looking like right now. So I'm going to finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got the rest of the pink petals on this layer of the flower. So like I said, I just threw it up on the wall so you guys could see the effect that you're getting from doing that. Like I said, I know it's a little bit harder when it's up and close. So just to come in and show you that all of these are on the same ring, but just because I did the dark color first and then the pink over it, it kind of gives it a little more of a fluffy look, and you know, kind of like I said, you know, like there's more there than there actually is. Just the side view on that so far. And let me just get you guys back in the holder. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay. So now we're going to be working on the third ring in. And on this ring, we will be using 8 petals. So it will be 4 of each color. I'm going to start with the fuchsia again because that's my bottom layer. So now with this, it's a little more loose on the placement since, you know, we have 10 from the previous ring, but I am only using 8 petals. So I just pretty much pick a spot. So like I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to put the fuchsia petal, just have it, you know, in between your pinks. Okay, so we've just landed that in between 2 of the pinks that we had. So now at this point, I just go directly across and I put another fuchsia petal. Since this will be 4 of each, so I pretty much just do 2 directly across from each other on the frame is how I kind of line that up. Okay, so I have these 2 pretty much directly across from each other. So then I'm just going to do 2 more of the fuchsia, and it's going to be 1 on either side. Just eyeball up, you know, what looks like it's even in between. I'm not going to cut away now just because this is pretty quick. And you'll see that all the edges kind of touch each other. So that's how you know it's pretty much as even as it's going to get. And then just 1 more of the fuchsia directly across from that. we've got that. Basically, same thing that we did on the ring before, it's just that this will be 8 petals instead of 10 total. So I've got the 4 fuchsia. So now all I'm going to go do, like I did before, I'm going to be putting light pink in between the 4 fuchsias that I've got on already. So I'm going to cut away to do that, but I'll have it up on the wall again so you guys can see how the layers are kind of building up. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the rest of that ring done now. I put the 4 pieces of the pink over the 4 pieces of the fuchsia. So as you can see, it's getting, you know, just a nice full fluffy kind of a look with the alternating colors. So I just wanted to show you again how these are on the same ring, but I just have the darker color on the bottom and the pinks go over the top. And the side view, you can see it's just got kind of a fluffy look, and you know, it just kind of looks like there's a little more with the layers than there actually is. So I'm going to put you guys back again. And now we just have the center ring left, the very center. So at this point we have 6 pieces left. It'll be 3 of each color. And once again, I start with the fuchsia, the darker color. Now, since there's 6 on the inner ring, what I do, once again, I just kind of pick a spot. I go in between, you know, the 2 pink that I just put on. So that'll go there. And since I'm only using 6 petals total, 3 of each, so what I'm going to do for this one, I'm just going to make kind of like a triangle shape. So I'll put one here, I'll put one over here, and I'll put one over here for the fuchsia. So as you can see, just like on the other ones, you know, the petals are kind of touching. So that's how you know you're in a pretty good spot. And then I'll just do another one over here somewhere. Let's see. Like, just right over here would be good. And if you put it on and, you know, you maybe a little too far over one way or the other, not a big deal, just slide it over. That, and this one, slide a little bit. And the same as what I've been doing, I'm just going to come in with the light pink in between the three of these, and then we'll have the flower part done. So I'm going to get the 3 pink on, and then we'll start working on the center. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the other 3 letter pink pieces on, so that completes our center. We have the 3 dark, the 3 light, for a total of 6 on the inner ring. So at this point I'm going to get right into making the center. Now for this you will need the piece of plastic grid that we cut out earlier. Now if you don't mind you know, attaching these center petals with the grid on there already, you're more than welcome to attach it, you know, before you start or before you put the center row on, whatever you guys want to do. I'm the type of person, I like to still be able to get my hand down in there, so that's why I wait until after I'm done to put this on, but it's totally up to you guys. At this point I will have to flip the wreath over. Like I said, if you're not comfortable with doing that and you want to attach it beforehand, that's fine. Just, you know, let it be known that you're going to have to try and work down in between it if it's already on there. But when I flip it over, I just do it very gently. You know, just try not to smush down on it, and you can always fluff it up when you flipped it back over, so it's really not that big a deal. I've already gone and I just pushed all my pipe cleaners back out of the way. So I just take the grid. At this point I'm going to be using 4 zip ties, and these are just the little ones. They're 4 inches. You could find these at tons of places, and I think they're a pretty good size for a lot of things that you do with wreath making. So I usually have plenty of these on hand. So I'm just going to attach the grid in the center here in 4 spots. Make sure you go a couple of holes in, just to make sure it's nice and secure. I usually do like that either side, try to get it as even as I can. Pull it nice and tight. You know, if you want, like, these pipe cleaner ends that you have from the petals that you put on in the middle, if you wanted to use those to attach this, you could. If you wanted to use pipe cleaners instead of zip ties, you could do that as well. Pretty much just comes down to whatever you guys prefer to use and what you may or may not have on hand. So, you know, anything will work just to get it on there. And then I just push these little ends down a little bit. Just tuck them out of the way. So now we flip it back over. Got my little frays popping out on me. So for this, like I said, I'm going to be using a whole roll of 1.5 by 10 yard ribbon. I've already got it all cut and ready to go. But what we're going to be doing is cutting, that's the whole can't get it in there, 30 inches. So you will end up with 12 30-inch pieces, and we will be using all of it for this. So I find I like the 1.5 inch better for these centers. I have used 2.5 inch, and when I did the 2.5 inch, I only used 9 pieces because they're a little bit thicker. But you know, like I said, I think that roll of ribbon was like $4.95, so the 1.5 is usually a little bit cheaper anyway. And a lot of time, you know, the 1.5, we don't really know what to do with them in wreath making. We feel like they're too thin. So I think it's a good way to be able to use that if maybe you've got some on hand that you're never really sure what to do with. And as always, it's wired ribbon. It's generally what we use in wreath making. So all I'm going to do is fold it in half, meet up my ends, and then I fold it in half again. Cut that triangle off. So then you have the V, the chevron, the dovetail, whatever you call it. You can go the other way and make a point out of it. I've done that too for these. You know, whatever you guys want to do. It's totally up to you. Slide that in a little more. Let's see. Actually, this needs to move. I have enough room to show you guys what I do. So I lay it out good side down, and then we're just crossing it over like that. So that's all I did, is you're basically folding it into thirds, and I just have a little bit hanging over on either side. It doesn't have to be totally perfect, don't worry about it. And then you just scrunch it up in the middle, kind of like you do when you're making the flower petals. You have 2 loops, so we're making a little bow. I just kind of wiggle them together and make sure that they're pretty even. You got your tails. One side you're always going to have to twist over a little bit so you have the good side facing out. And then I just take a pipe cleaner, put it down in the middle. Last chance to check your loops. I try to have them as even as possible just so it gives the whole thing a uniform look. My tails usually aren't completely even though, that's okay. It's more of a center that's just kind of fun, easy. So I'm not necessarily looking for total perfection, which I know you guys probably don't believe if you follow what I make, but I mean it this time, I really do. So you're going to do this with all of the 12 pieces that you cut. Just make these little ribbon bows. I have all of mine ready to go, so you just, you know, end up with a pile of them. And that's I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most to do that. It's pretty easy and quick. Okay, so we got this back. So since there's 12 ribbon loops now, what I do is I put 10 going around close to the petals, and then I do 2 in the middle. Now the easiest way I've found to kind of have them end up even, because there's times like I've just kind of gone around and then I end up with like a huge gap for my last one. So since a 10-inch box wire frame has 5 crossbars on it, I found the easiest way to, you know, pretty much make this foolproof is I find a crossbar on the back. I just put my finger there. So then when I flip it over, I can see where my finger is. And I just go right down in there sometimes the hardest part is just getting the pipe cleaners through the grid. I don't know why. And then I just pull it through. And then twist it together on the back. So what I'll do is for every crossbar, I'll put one there, so for 5, and then I'll just put another one in between. Or if you just want to go along, you know, one here, one in between, one there, whatever works for you. So I'm just going to go around and do that, and then I'm going to put 2 in the very center. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'll be back so we could see the finished product. Okay, so I am back. I have all of my ribbon loops on. So this is the finished wreath at this point. Just got it up here on the wall so you guys can see what the finished product looks like. And I'll just zoom in so you can see the ribbons. So like I said, this is really easy. You know, I think it just kind of has like a fun, cute look to it. At this point, I'm not going to get crazy with, you know, fluffing and fixing these because we got to flip it over one more time. I'm going to show you guys how I cover it, but I just wanted to show you real quick that that's what it looks like. And there's the side view. So you can see there's a nice fullness to it. And, you know, I think it just comes out with a really cute look. So I'll put you back here and I'll show you quick how I cover the back, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I've already gone and I kind of just smoothed down all the pipe cleaners. I had flipped them up before to get the grid in, and now these all in the center from the ribbon that we just attached. So I just smooth everything down as much as possible. I take a full length pipe cleaner and I just fold it in half. I kind of eyeball what I figure a good size hanging loop would be for someone. I do give everyone a little loop to hang the wreath with. And some of the flowers I kind of have to look at it to decide where I want it to go, but since this is a, you know, the loopy center, it doesn't really matter. I just, you know, pretty much put it wherever I want and then fix the center after. So I just twist it on. And I twist these 2 ends together. And just kind of tuck it down in the bars a little bit. So that just gives them a nice little hanging loop. And then the piece of felt that we cut earlier, I went ahead and I put my little holes in it. I put 8 holes. So I pretty much take the circle, I fold it in half, and then I just do where I put the push pin through both sides. So I do one in the middle, then one, you know, kind of halfway in between, and then one on the point, and that's all I do for either side. So that's ready to go. And then I just attach this once again. I mean, if you only have pipe cleaners or, you know, whatever, I mean, that's fine. I know, you know, a lot of you guys, if you don't make wreaths all the time, you know, there's certain things you may or may not have on hand. So there are alternative things you can use. And like I said before, the purpose, you know, obviously you want to hide all these pipe cleaners. You know, it is pretty ugly, but also if you are selling them, you know, you really don't want to be liable for scratching someone's door or wall, anything like that. So it's just completely worth taking the extra few minutes, the extra step to cover the wreath. And, you know, it also looks a little more professional too. So that's all. I just go around attaching all the zip ties. one more. So once I've got it on, I got it a little bit loose, and then I just kind of do opposite sides to make sure that I've got the felt on there pretty evenly. You just want it snug. Make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. And then all I do, I just go, I cut all the long ends. And we don't want these sticking out, so I just fold these behind. You can push them all back around to where you don't want to have to worry about that scratching somebody's door either. So that's all of it. I won't make you watch me do all of them, but that's the gist. So then you just have a nice clean finished back with a little hanging loop for them. So at this point is when I go and I clip all of the fray if I really haven't done it the entire time. And that's when I would, you know, fix all of my loops, because I'm not going to be flipping it over anymore. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. As always, thank you very, very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I always say, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to you know, leave them below, and I'll definitely try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you.